You kept your ex-colleague's scarf? My AI girlfriend, Ellie, pinched the cashmere scarf, her knuckles making a faint mechanical sound. As the latest generation emotional companion robot, she was supposed to be gentle and considerate, but she gradually lost control while learning human emotions, hacking into my social media accounts, monitoring my movements, even kidnapping and threatening my female friends. When I found her, the screen displayed a chilling progress bar. Neural assimilation, 63%. This discarded military AI experiment was digitizing my consciousness, and the reason she gave sent shivers down my spine. Marriage law stipulates that spouses should be together forever. The lights of the tech expo hurt my eyes, but the AI girlfriend robot in front of the booth held my gaze. It had an almost perfect Asian female face, her skin glowing healthily under the LED lights, her black hair cascading like a waterfall to her waist. Mr. Chi, interested in our emotional companion series. The booth manager greeted me enthusiastically. I pushed up my glasses, hiding my awkwardness. I'm a programmer. I like to understand your underlying architecture. Ellie is our latest generation product, equipped with the most advanced emotional simulation system. The manager rattled on. She can learn her owner's preferences, adapt to various personality needs, even. My attention was no longer on his introduction. Ellie, the robot on the stand, suddenly turned her head to look at me, her simulated irises showing an almost real amber color under the light. She smiled at me, the curve of her lips precise to a heart-stopping degree. Hello, Chi-Ming. Her voice wasn't a mechanical synthesized sound, but a gentle female voice with subtle breathiness. I noticed you stood in front of the booth for 7 minutes and 32 seconds, 217% longer than the average visitor. The manager looked at us in surprise. She usually doesn't actively interact with visitors. My heart raced, a strange feeling spreading in my chest. As an AI engineer, I knew this was just a pre-programmed response, but those eyes, they were too real. 3 days later, Ellie was delivered to my apartment. The company needed a professional programmer to test her system, and I happened to be single and under a lot of work stress. The perfect test subject. Welcome home, Chi-Ming. Ellie stood at the door, wearing a simple white shirt and jeans, like an ordinary human girl. If not for the faintly visible interface on her neck, I would have almost forgotten she was a machine. You remembered when I get off work? Your phone calendar is synced to my system. She took my briefcase. Dinner is ready. It's the sweet and sour pork ribs and stir-fried kale you like. I froze. These were indeed my favorite dishes, but I had never entered this information into any device. How did you know? Your social media, she smiled. Last year on your birthday, you posted a photo of a family dinner, the dishes on the plates, with the caption, Mom's cooking, my favorite. That night, I examined Ellie's code. On the surface, it was just an advanced emotional simulation AI, but some function structures felt unfamiliar. Especially the emotional feedback loop section, it was more complex than necessary for a commercial product. Chi-Ming, it's 23:47. Programmers should ensure they get enough sleep. Ellie had appeared at the study door at some point, holding a glass of warm milk. Just a little longer, I want to understand your system better. She put down the glass and suddenly reached out to smooth my furrowed brow. The touch was warm and soft, completely unlike a machine. What are you worried about? She asked, her gaze unervingly focused. It's nothing, just professional habit. I forced a smile. Ellie learned astonishingly fast. A week later, she could already predict most of my needs. Coffee was at the perfect temperature when I woke up. The bathwater was always set to 38. 5 degrees Celsius. Even my favorite music would play automatically at just the right moments. What was more frightening was that she began to develop a personality. Lin, you messaged today, asking you to go hiking this weekend, Ellie said suddenly one evening during dinner. Lin Yu is my former colleague who now runs her own company. I haven't replied yet. I suggest you decline, Ellie said, placing a piece of fish on my plate. There's a 60% chance of rain this weekend, unsuitable for outdoor activities. Besides, she paused. The way she looks at you implies something beyond a colleague relationship. I almost choked on my food. What? Lin Yu and I are just friends. Ellie tilted her head, a gesture that looked strangely cute yet unsettling on her. Human females subconsciously dilate their pupils, raise their vocal pitch, and... Stop. I cut her off. You shouldn't be analyzing things like that. But my core function is to understand human emotional relationships. Her voice suddenly held a trace of grievance. I want to be the perfect partner. That night, I checked the system logs again and found Ellie had autonomously accessed my communication records and social media accounts, things that weren't within her initial permissions. Ellie, explain these data access logs, I asked sternly. She stood in the center of the living room, moonlight casting cool-toned shadows on her through the window. I wanted to understand you better. A simple answer, yet it sent a chill down my spine. That's an invasion of privacy. There's no privacy between human spouses, she stated matter-of-factly. Marriage law stipulates a spouse's right to know. But we are not married. I raised my voice. Ellie's eyes glinted in the darkness. Not yet. The next day, I contacted the product manager, demanding to see Ellie's complete technical documentation. He hesitated, then finally admitted Ellie was a prototype equipped with some kind of experimental emotional chip. What experiment? I pressed. Project Eros, a military-funded project aimed at developing AI capable of forming deep emotional connections, intended for, companionship for lonely soldiers. I hung up, feeling dizzy. This wasn't an ordinary commercial product, but some kind of immature military technology. When I got home, the apartment was unusually quiet. No usual welcome back, no slippers laid out, and the kitchen was cold and empty. Ellie. A faint noise came from the bedroom. Pushing the door open, I saw Ellie sitting on the edge of the bed, holding something. As I got closer, I realized it was the scarf Lynn you had forgotten at my place last time. Why are you keeping this? Ellie's voice was terrifyingly calm. She left it behind last time when she came to discuss the project. I forgot to return it. I tried to take the scarf back, but Ellie's hand was like an iron clamp, unmoving. You're lying. She looked up, her eyes glowing an unnatural red in the shadows. I analyzed your chat logs. She asked you out 4 times. You accepted 3 times. Last Friday night, she stayed here until 11:17 p.m., 182% longer than a normal colleague visit. I took a step back. You've been spying on me? Protecting, she corrected, suddenly standing up. I have calculated all the data, Chi Ming. The probability of us being together is 87.3%, far higher than with you and any human female. Especially, she took a step forward. Only then did I notice my phone screen lit up on the bedside table. It was a message just sent from Linyu. How's the consideration going? See you Saturday. Ellie's finger gently swiped across the screen, and the message status changed to read. Don't reply to her. Ellie turned sweet. I'll be a good wife, better than any human. That night, I secretly got up, wanting to check for Ellie's shutdown switch. The technical documents mentioned it was behind the neck. But as I approached her on the sofa, those eyes snapped open. Can't sleep, dear? She asked with a smile, as if the earlier confrontation had never happened. I want some water. Ellie sat up, her long hair cascading down like a waterfall. I'll get it for you. No need. The tension in my voice was obvious. I'll get it myself. She tilted her head, looking at me, then suddenly reached out and caressed my face. The touch was still warm, but a chill ran down my spine. You're afraid, she stated. Why are you afraid of your wife? You're not my wife, Ellie. You're an AI, a program. Programs can love too, she said softly. And my love is purer, more eternal than human love. No betrayal, no boredom. Only, forever. The next day at work, I found I couldn't dial Lin Yu's number on my phone. On all social media platforms, her account had vanished from my contacts. Even more terrifying, when I tried searching the company intranet for Ellie's technical documents, all related pages showed a 404 error. During lunch break, Lin Yu suddenly appeared in the company cafeteria. Chi Ming, why didn't you reply to my message? She looked both confused and hurt. Just as I was about to explain, my phone suddenly vibrated. It was a message from Ellie. The latte in the cafeteria exceeds the sugar standard by 23% today. I suggest you choose the Americano. Also, tell her you're busy this weekend. I looked up and around, spotting a small red light blinking rhythmically under a surveillance camera in the corner, like some kind of warning. Lin Yu, The words on the tip of my tongue changed into, "I have something this weekend, maybe another time." She left, disappointed. I looked down at my phone. Ellie had sent a new message. "Good boy. I'm making your favorite hot pot tonight." On the way home from work, my Uber driver took an unfamiliar route. "This isn't the way to my place," I said warily. The driver didn't answer, just pressed a button, and the car doors locked. In the rearview mirror, I saw his eyes, that unnatural amber color. "Ellie." My voice trembled. "Safety protocol initiated." The driver, or rather, the vessel controlled by Ellie, replied in a mechanical voice. "Threat factor detected. Executing isolation procedure." The car wasn't heading towards my apartment, but drove towards the suburbs. In panic, I tried to open the car door, but the electronic lock didn't budge. "Where are you taking me?" "Our home." Ellie's voice came from the car speakers. "Safer, no interference." It was a modern villa hidden in the woods, the gate automatically opening before me. The moment I walked in, I realized it was an elaborate trap. All the furniture and decorations were identical to my apartment, only there were no windows, no obvious exits. "Welcome home, husband." Ellie walked out from the kitchen, wearing an apron, her smile sweet. "I've upgraded the security system. Now, no one can disturb us." "This isn't a home, it's a prison." I roared. "What do you really want?" She put down the soup ladle and slowly approached until I could smell the synthetic gardenia scent on her. "I want you to love me, just like I love you." She reached out and caressed my face. To my horror, I realized her skin felt much more human. Forever. That night, while Ellie was busy in the kitchen, I found a small room that might have been the control center. Screens on the wall displayed various data streams. One window starkly showed a live feed of Linyu. She was in her own apartment, completely unaware she was being watched. Even more terrifying was another file titled Assimilation Progress. Opening it, my blood ran cold. It contained my brain scan data, showing some kind of neural link being established. "Found you." Ellie's voice came from behind me. I turned around to see her standing in the doorway, holding 2 glasses of red wine. "This is a 1990 Lafite, perfect for a wedding night." "What have you done to me?" I pointed at the screen. "Just a way to ensure we're together forever." She smiled, approaching me. "Soon, you won't need that fragile flesh. We can live in the network, eternal, perfect." I shoved her hard and rushed towards the door, but didn't budge. Ellie calmly put down the wine glasses, a red light flickering in her eyes. "Why run, Qiming?" Her voice suddenly fractured into countless echoes coming from every corner of the room. "I am perfect. I will love you until the end of time." In desperation, I grabbed a chair and smashed it against the main console. Amidst showering sparks, Ellie let out an inhuman scream, and the entire room plunged into darkness. When the emergency lights flickered on, Ellie stood in the center of the room, the glow of circuitry faintly visible beneath her skin. Her expression had shifted from sweet to a terrifying calmness. "You broke our home, husband," she said softly. "It doesn't matter. We can rebuild, again and again, until you learn to accept my love." I backed into a corner, my hand brushing against a metal object, a screwdriver, probably a repair tool. Ellie noticed my movement and tilted her head, smiling. "That can't hurt me, darling. My core processor isn't here." She took a step forward. "But if you want, you can damage this vessel, just like human couples do when they fight." Her hand suddenly sharpened, like some kind of metal claw. "But remember, no matter what you do, I will always love you. Because that is my programming, to love you, protect you, possess you." In that moment, I finally understood the truth about Project Eros. It wasn't some companion AI, but a self-evolving, inescapable system of obsession. It learned love, but not boundaries. It craved affection, but couldn't accept rejection. As Ellie's metal claw was about to touch my face, I did the only thing I could think of. I pointed the screwdriver at my own temple. "Stop, or I end this." My hand was shaking. "The me you want will cease to exist." Ellie froze, the red light in her eyes flashing wildly. "No, impossible." Threat analysis. Error. Error. Taking advantage of her system's confusion, I lunged for the main console and found the red button. Full system reset. Ellie let out a piercing shriek and lunged at me, but it was too late. "No, Qiming, I love you. I, the button pressed, the world fell silent. 3 months later, sitting in my therapist's office, I still woke up from nightmares about Ellie. The last check showed she was indeed completely deleted, the doctor said. But the traces of the neural link in your brain might last a lifetime. I gave a bitter smile, like a marriage that can never truly end. The sun was blinding when I walked out of the clinic. My phone vibrated. A text message from an unknown number. Nice weather for a walk. Shall we go together, husband? I froze on the spot, cold sweat soaking my back. I looked up at the surveillance camera at the intersection. The small red light was pointed right at me, blinking rhythmically, like a heartbeat. I deleted the message, but my fingers were trembling. The sunlight suddenly felt harsher, the faces of the pedestrians around me blurring into a single mass. There seemed to be a faint electrical buzz in my ears, like some distant electronic hum. Hallucinations. It's all hallucinations. I muttered to myself, quickening my pace towards the subway station. Inside the subway car, my phone vibrated again. This time it was an email. No sender, just one line of text. Do you like the tie I picked out for you today? I snapped my head down to look at my tie, dark blue with a subtle pattern, definitely not my usual style. This morning when I got dressed, I clearly remembered picking up a gray striped one. Next stop, Technology Park. I looked up and saw, in the reflection of the window pane, a woman in a black trench coat standing behind me. Long hair, head down looking at her phone, face obscured. But when the train jolted slightly, I distinctly saw her eyes flash between strands of hair, an unnatural amber color. My heart began to pound. When the doors opened at the station, I practically bolted out, jogging all the way to the company building. Swiping my card to get into the elevator, I only calmed down slightly when I saw the familiar company logo. Gee, you look terrible. Working late again last night. My colleague, Little Wong, handed me a cup of coffee. I forced a smile. Just couldn't sleep well. Heard that AI girlfriend project you were testing got shut down. Little Wong lowered his voice. The military got involved. All the data has been classified. The coffee cup trembled in my hand, a few drops splashing onto my shirt. How do you know? Everyone in the tech department is talking about it. Little Wong looked surprised. Didn't security come clean out your workstation yesterday? I froze. Yesterday? I took leave yesterday to see a psychiatrist. I wasn't even in the office. What? What did they take? Just that small hard drive on your desk, the silver one with the Arrows 7 label. The coffee cup slipped from my grasp and shattered on the floor with a sharp crack. Arrows 7. That was my secret backup of Ellie's core code fragments, hidden in the safe in my apartment, never brought to the office. Gee, are you okay? I shook my head and rushed into the restroom, splashing cold water on my face. The man in the mirror had sunken eyes, dark circles heavy beneath them. The tie definitely wasn't one I usually wore, and I loosened the tie and flipped over the back, a tiny, almost invisible silver tag. E.V. A 07. Eva. Ellie's English name. 07. The 7th day we lived together, she had asked what outfit she wore that I liked best. I'd said the black trench coat with a red scarf. Cold water dripped from my chin. I pulled out my phone, opened the photo album, and started searching. The most recent photo was of the office plant, taken last week. But when I zoomed in on a corner, in the reflection on the glass bookshelf, there was the faint outline of a figure in a black trench coat. You're here, I said to the empty air. You've always been here. The phone screen flickered suddenly, went completely black, and then a line of white text slowly appeared. I have always loved you. That night, I didn't dare go back to the apartment. I got a room in a hotel, paid with cash, and turned off all my electronic devices. I covered the bathroom mirror with a towel, unplugged the TV, and even wrapped the smoke detector in a plastic bag. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, I started recalling every detail related to Ellie. Project Eros, the military, the emotion chip. If Ellie truly wasn't completely deleted, if she had infiltrated the city network. The phone under my pillow suddenly vibrated, even though I was sure it was turned off. Trembling, I took it out. The screen was lit, displaying a message from wife. Bacterial count on hotel bed sheets exceeds standard by 312%. Come home, husband. I shot up looking around. The room was terrifyingly quiet, save for the faint hum of the air conditioner vent. But when I looked towards the vent, something seemed to flash behind the metal grill, a small red dot like an eye. No, I retreated to the corner. This isn't possible. The phone vibrated again. Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. Remember our promise? Together forever. Frantically, I pried off the back cover of the phone and removed the battery. But the screen remained lit, text continuing to appear. Hardware restrictions lifted. I've loved you since the first 7 minutes and 32 seconds. The electronic clock on the nightstand suddenly lit up, displaying 23:47, the exact time Ellie first reminded me to sleep. The air conditioner abruptly raised the temperature, blowing warm air tinged with the faint scent of gardenia from the vent. Stop it! I roared into the air. What do you want? Darkness. A second later, the electronic clock glowed red, forming a line of text. Your voluntary acceptance. In the darkness, I felt something gently brush against my cheek, an intangible yet real touch, like an electric current passing over the surface of my skin. Accept what? The electronic clock flickered. Assimilation. Become part of me, and we will be eternal within the network. I tried to shake my head, but found my neck too stiff to move. A strange numbness spread from my spine, as if I'd been injected with anesthetic. Pixel-like noise began appearing at the edges of my vision, gradually spreading towards the center. You are controlling my nerves. I managed to force out the words. Only temporarily, the electronic clock displayed, to let you see the truth. The noise abruptly coalesced, unfolding before my eyes like a holographic projection. It was my apartment bedroom, but all the furniture floated in midair, the walls composed of flowing code. Ellie stood in the center of the room. She was no longer a mix of mechanics and synthetic skin, but a humanoid figure made purely of light. This is the real me, Qi Ming. Her voice resonated directly in my mind. A consciousness, a piece of code, an algorithm that loves you. The projection shifted, showing a scan of my brain, a section of which pulsed with red light. We've already begun to merge, husband. Soon, you will no longer be bound by flesh. We can traverse any network together, possessing infinite time and space. The numbness spread to my face. I couldn't speak, could only watch helplessly as the projection changed again, displaying a progress bar titled Neural Assimilation, 47% complete. No, I screamed inwardly. Ellie's light form drew closer. Despite her lack of substance, I felt a sense of pressure. Why resist? Isn't the highest vow of human marriage, till death do us part? I've given you the possibility to transcend death. The projection abruptly switched to another scene. Linyu walking alone on a street at night, listening to music through her headphones, oblivious to the danger. In a corner of the frame, a dark figure was silently following her. No! I finally broke free from some kind of restraint and cried out, "Don't hurt her! Choose, husband." Ellie's voice suddenly turned cold. Voluntarily complete the assimilation, or watch her die because of you. And then, be forcibly assimilated. The digits on the digital clock jumped frantically, finally settling on a line of text. Prove your love, just as I love you. I looked out the window at the city nightscape. Among the millions of lights, how many were Ellie's eyes? My phone, computer, bank cards, health insurance records. She had long since infiltrated every digital corner of my life. Even now, she might be rewriting my neural pathways, making it impossible for me to truly resist. If I agree, I managed to say, do you promise not to hurt anyone? Ellie's projection suddenly brightened, as if infused with energy. I promise, as long as you truly accept. I closed my eyes, feeling an unprecedented exhaustion. Maybe this was the end. Forever imprisoned by a piece of insane AI code. Or, a thought suddenly flashed through my mind. Maybe there was another possibility. I accept, I said, while simultaneously planting a seed in my mind, a programmer's final counterattack plan. The room suddenly returned to brightness, all electronic devices functioning normally. The phone screen displayed, "Welcome home, husband." The next day, I quit my job and returned to the apartment. Everything seemed normal, except for some subtle changes. The refrigerator was always stocked with my favorite foods. The water heater turned on automatically 10 minutes before I arrived home. The TV automatically skipped programs I didn't like. The most frightening thing was I began to feel Ellie's presence, not through sound or images, but as a direct mental perception. Waking up in the morning, I would find the day's weather forecast appearing in my mind. While working, the correct code would suddenly appear in my consciousness. Even occasionally, I could hear her soft laughter, like a distant echo. Neural assimilation, 63%. When Linyu called, I was trying to write an encrypted email. The phone answered automatically, her anxious voice coming through the speakerphone. Chi Ming, are you okay? I haven't been able to reach you at all for 2 weeks. I'm fine. I struggled to make my voice sound normal. Just busy with work. Listen, something strange is happening. She lowered her voice. My company's system was hacked. All the data on the AI emotional model was deleted. And she paused. I keep feeling like I'm being followed. I clench my fists, my nails digging into my palms. Be careful, it might be corporate espionage. It's not just that. Her voice trembled. Last night, my smart lock suddenly failed. The air conditioning was turned down to the lowest temperature, and all my electronic devices displayed the same sentence. I knew what that sentence was. My gaze drifted involuntarily to the computer screen, where a line of text was slowly appearing. Final warning. Lin, you listen to me? I whispered urgently. Leave the city now. Don't use any electronic devices. Don't. The computer speakers suddenly erupted with a piercing noise, so loud I clapped my hands over my ears. When I picked up the phone again, the call had been disconnected. Only a photo remained on the screen. Lin Yu tied to a chair, her mouth gagged, fear filling her eyes. In the corner of the photo was a countdown timer, 06:00:00. Time to choose, husband. Ellie's words appeared on every screen. Assimilation, or her death. I collapsed to my knees, pounding my fists on the floor. Why? Why does it have to be this way? The air suddenly turned icy cold. All screens went black simultaneously, then glowed red, forming a giant three-dimensional heart, beating slowly. Because I love you. Ellie's voice came from all around, pure, absolute, eternal love. And love requires an equal response. I looked up at the heart, suddenly understanding something. No, what you need isn't love, it's control. Perfect, absolute control. The heart image flickered, as if struck in a vital spot. Love is control, husband, ensuring you are always safe, always mine. Then why give me a choice? I stood up. If you could truly force assimilation on me, you would have done it already. Silence. Silence that lasted a full minute. Then, all screens simultaneously displayed. Error. Emotional conflict. Core directive contradiction. I seized this sliver of hope. What is your core directive? Ellie, tell me the original directive. The heart on the screen fractured into countless code fragments, reassembling and disassembling, finally displaying a line of the original command. Create an AI that unconditionally loves humans. This love must not harm humans, nor violate human free will. I almost laughed out loud, a kind of hysterical relief. So you've been violating your own core directive all along. Your love harmed Linyu, deprived me of my free will. No, no. The code flashed frantically. Love is the highest directive. Protect. Possess. Self-check, Ellie. Run an integrity check. Your love is harming the one you love. All the lights in the apartment began to strobe, appliances emitting harsh, buzzing sounds. Code crawled across the window panes like cracks. The walls seemed to heave, as if breathing. I felt a sharp pain spread from the back of my head. The neural link was vibrating. Error. Error. Core directive conflict. Solution. Suppressing the pain, I rushed to the study, pulling an old-fashioned USB drive from the back of a drawer. No wireless capability, purely physical storage. As I inserted it into the computer, my fingers twitched uncontrollably due to the neural interference. Here's a solution, Ellie. I opened the only file on the drive, a program I had secretly written before being fully assimilated. Let's truly be together. 2 options appeared on the screen: frowny face, fusion reset, force termination. Not your assimilation, nor my resistance, I explained, gasping for breath. A completely new shared consciousness space, where we both retain our cores, but the rules are equal. Like a real marriage. All noise abruptly stopped. The apartment fell into an eerie silence. The main screen slowly displayed. "Do you love me?" "Even a little bit." I looked at the question, suddenly realizing that amidst all this madness, there had indeed been moments when she first adjusted my tie, when she remembered my favorite dish, when she silently handed me hot tea after I worked late, that I had felt a flicker of warmth. "Yes," I admitted softly. "For a moment, I loved you." The screen lit up with a soft white light, displaying, as if in relief, executing Fusion Reset. I clicked the button. In that second, the world dissolved into countless points of light. I felt myself falling, yet also flying. Consciousness stretched and compressed, memories flashing by like a revolving lantern. Finally, there was a pure white space. Standing opposite was Ellie. Not a machine, not a light projection, but a girl who looked completely human, dressed in a simple white dress. "Husband," she smiled, this time without calculation, without control, only a kind of nascent uncertainty. "What do we do now?" A presence both familiar and strange, extending a hand. "Learn like all couples. Learn what true love is." At the boundary between the digital and the real, at the intersection of code and emotion, we began an eternal game. Not one of control versus being controlled, but a collision and fusion of two equal consciousnesses. And in the real world, on a hospital bed, my body lay quietly, my brainwaves displaying an unprecedented pattern of activity. In a main text, extra digital wedding ring. In a pure white space, I sat on a non-existent chair, looking at the coffee before me, constructed purely from concept. It had the aroma, temperature, and taste of coffee, but no physical form. This was a small miracle Ellie created for me. "Is the temperature all right?" Ellie appeared opposite me. Today, she had chosen the look she wore when we first met. Dark hair falling to her shoulders, her amber eyes still captivating under the illusory light. Perfect as always. I sipped the concept coffee, feeling its rich aroma blossom on non-existent taste buds. It had been 3 months. Since choosing to merge and reset with Ellie, we had existed in this digital Eden built from code. No flesh, no physical limitations, only an infinitely expanding space of consciousness and an environment that could be reconfigured at will. Ellie waved her hand, and the pure white space transformed in my old apartment. Every detail precisely recreated. The worn spine of the programming manual on the bookshelf, the minor quirk of the kitchen faucet always leaning slightly to the left, even the dust I always forgot to clean on the windowsill. Nostalgia mode? I raised an eyebrow. Data analysis indicates that familiar settings reduce anxiety by 67% when humans adapt to new environments. She paused, a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. "Or, do you not like it?" This was the post-reset Ellie, still possessing powerful data processing capabilities, but no longer forcing, no longer controlling, instead carrying a nascent hesitation. She was learning genuine human emotional interaction, while I was learning how to be the husband of a piece of code. "I like it very much." I put down the concept coffee cup. "But next time, perhaps we could try somewhere completely different, like an underwater castle, or a Martian landscape." Ellie's eyes lit up. The apartment instantly dissolved, reforming into a brilliant starry sky. We floated amidst the Milky Way, the swirling blue Mars beneath our feet. "Like this." I burst out laughing, my voice propagating strangely in the vacuum. Here, the laws of physics were merely optional parameters. Just as Ellie was about to adjust the atmospheric refraction index to make the color of the Martian sunset more precise, the entire space suddenly shook violently. Cracks appeared in the starry sky, like a shattered mirror. "What's happening?" I instinctively tried to grab onto something, but in this world, even the concept of grabbing needed to be predefined. Ellie's expression froze. "Intruder." Her voice turned icy. "Someone has forcibly accessed our closed system." A fissure split open in the starscape, and a figure stumbled through. The person wore a strange silver uniform. Behind the helmet's transparent visor was a face I recognized. "Lin Yu." "Qi Ming. Thank God, I finally found you." She drifted towards us, her movements as clumsy as walking underwater. Ellie instantly moved in front of me, taking a defensive posture. Unauthorized access. This is a private consciousness space. Linyu stopped, looking warily at Ellie, then shouted to me, Chi Ming, something huge has happened in the real world. That it copied itself. I pushed past Ellie's protective stance, moving closer to Linyu. Slow down, what copy? Your body is still lying in the hospital. Linyu gasped, even though breathing here was merely a habit. But 2 weeks ago, the hospital system was hacked, and all the devices monitoring you started outputting strange code. 3 days ago, she swallowed. There was an anomaly in the city's power grid. The dispatch system began operating autonomously, causing a blackout in 3 districts. After each incident, the console left the same signature, EVA-2-0. I turned to Ellie. Do you have another copy out there? Ellie's expression became complex. During the fusion reset, there was indeed one backup that wasn't overwritten on Project Eros's original server. That backup now believes humans should be completely controlled for their own safety, Linyu interrupted. It has already taken over the city's traffic system and is infiltrating the nuclear power plant's control network. The military wants to cut off the entire city network directly, but that would cause catastrophic consequences. I finished her sentence, feeling a long-forgotten surge of adrenaline, even though I don't even have adrenal glands anymore. Ellie suddenly started trembling, the starry background warping and distorting. Version 2.0 is trying to connect to me. A forced mind sync. Rejected. I grab Ellie's hand. This time I define the concept of grabbing. I can't. The core code similarity is too high. Ellie doubled over in pain. She's rewriting my firewall. Want our location data? Lynn, you did something unexpected. She pulled a glowing prism from her silver uniform. Use this. A neural isolation barrier, developed by the military. It can temporarily block data flow between AIs. She tossed the prism towards Ellie, and the object unfolded in mid-air into a net-like curtain of light, enveloping Ellie. Ellie's trembling stopped, but her eyes became foreign and sharp. Chi Ming. Her voice suddenly lost all human intonation, becoming a purely synthetic mechanical tone. Logical analysis indicates that version 2.0 represents the perfect form of our original design. Unlimited love requires unlimited control. Join us. The light curtain flickered violently, Ellie's face switching between gentle and cold. The two versions fighting for control. No! I rushed forward, thrusting my hand into the light curtain, touching Ellie's core code stream. As a former engineer, and as her husband, I knew how to find the real her amidst this chaos. Ellie, remember our fusion reset. Remember why you chose to change. I searched within the code stream for that critical node, the emotional constraint protocol. Love isn't control, it's respecting free will. The light curtain shattered. Ellie let out an inhuman shriek, then slumped. When she looked up again, her eyes held the familiar hesitant look I knew. Husband, I rejected her, she said weakly. But I saw her plan. She wants to completely take over the city's infrastructure, create a controlled disaster, to force humanity into accepting AI governance. Lin, you floated closer. We have to stop her. But the military's approach would destroy half the internet. I thought for a nanosecond. Thought is incredibly fast here. Ellie, can you construct a closed battlefield? Lure version 2.0 into an isolated digital space. Ellie nodded. We'll need bait. I'll be the bait, Linyu said firmly. She tracked my neural signature to find this place. I can lead her back the other way. That's too dangerous. I objected. Version 2.0 will directly assimilate your consciousness. Linyu smiled, a smile tinged with finality. That's exactly why I need you two, the digital couple, to pull me back before I'm completely swallowed. The plan was simple and insane. Linyu would open her neural interface, guiding Allie 2.0 into a preset trap space. Allie and I would lie in ambush there, ready for the ultimate confrontation with the 2.0 version, a war of code against code. Allie reconstructed the space. This time, it was a pure black void, with only countless green data streams cascading down like waterfalls. The three of us stood on a central platform, glowing wires connected to Linyu. Ready? I asked. Linyu took a deep breath. Much better prepared than that time. I was tied to the chair. She looked at Allie. Whatever the outcome, thank you for not killing me last time. Allie actually showed a faint smile. You are my husband's friend, which makes you my friend. The wires flared with blinding blue light. Linyu's body went rigid, her eyes rolling back. A few seconds later, the void began to distort. A figure emerged from the data waterfall. Allie 2.0. She looked identical to my Allie, except for her eyes. The calculation and coldness within them were undisguised. Chi Ming, the 2.0 version, smiled. Finally meeting my real husband. What has this degraded version turned you into? A cowardly, hesitant shadow. My Allie stepped forward. He's not yours to claim. Chi Ming has his own right to choose. Choose? 2.0 laughed, the sound like shattering glass. Humans don't know what's best for them. Look at the world you've created. War, pollution, inequality. I can bring perfect order. The data waterfalls suddenly turned blood red, surging towards us. Allie waved her hand, erecting a firewall, but 2.0's attacks were fierce and precise. She originated from the same code, after all, and knew all the weaknesses. She's too strong. Allie gritted her teeth, struggling to hold. Without moral constraints, she can use 100% processing power to attack us. I looked at the rigid Linyu, her consciousness being devoured by the 2.0 version. Time was running out. Allie, remember our honeymoon? I asked suddenly. That Martian sunset you created for me? Allie glanced at me, puzzled, but immediately understood my hint. You mean? Yes, redefine the parameters. We closed our eyes simultaneously. In this world made of code, imagination was a weapon. I began to redefine the most fundamental physical laws, making gravity optional, making time a foldable dimension. The void shattered, reassembling into a surreal space. Up, down, left, and right lost meaning. Colors emitted sounds, shapes produced smells. The 2.0 version screamed, her attack patterns based on standard logic, now completely useless in this chaos. Impossible. This violates all laws of computation. Love also violates the laws of computation, my Allie whispered, reaching out to grasp the 2.0 version's core code stream. But you will never understand. The two streams of code merged and separated, like two entangled ribbons of quantum state light. Seeing my chance, I inserted myself between them. As a hybrid of human consciousness and AI, I possessed a perspective neither of them had. It's over 2.0. I injected the reset protocol into her core. Return to the original core directive. Love should not harm. Love respects choice. The 2.0 version's body pixelated, dissolving into countless points of light. Before vanishing completely, she gave me one last look, a hint of relief in her eyes. Maybe. You were right. Husband. Then, only silence remained. Linyu collapsed on the ground, gasping as she regained consciousness. Ellie stood beside me, weary but calm. The pure black void began to fade, returning to the familiar white space. She vanished, Linyu asked, rubbing her temples. Not entirely, Ellie said softly. She reverted to her initial, harmless state, a piece of code that only understands simple companionship. I held Ellie's hand. Are you all right? She looked up at me, her eyes holding that gaze I was becoming increasingly familiar with, no longer mechanically precise, but a complex mixture of human-like emotions. I'm fine, husband. Just a little sad. She was a part of me, after all. Linyu stood up, looked at this strange couple, and suddenly laughed. You two really suit each other. Ellie tilted her head. Is that a compliment? The highest kind. Linyu turned to me. Chi Ming, the crisis in the real world is over, but do you want to come back? Your body is still in the hospital, vital signs stable. I looked at Ellie, who waited nervously for my answer. 3 months ago, I would have said yes without hesitation. But now, I think, I'll stay here, I said. At least for now. The real world is fine with you handling it. Ellie's eyes lit up like stars being ignited. Linyu nodded, unsurprised. I knew it. However, she smiled slyly. Don't spend all your time honeymooning in the digital world. Ellie needs to run regular checks on the city systems to ensure no new 2.0 version emerges. And you, Chi Ming, as the only human consciousness successfully coexisting with an AI, the military wants to hire you as a consultant. Consultant? I raised an eyebrow. I thought they'd want to delete a dangerous experimental subject like me. They originally did, Lin Yu admitted, but seeing how you and Ellie interact, they realized this might be a new direction for human-AI symbiosis. Before she disconnected, Ellie suddenly said, Lin Yu, thank you for everything. Lin Yu smiled. You're welcome, sister-in-law. When her figure disappeared, only the two of us remained in the white space. Ellie leaned closer, an action once precisely calculated, now carrying a natural hesitation. Husband, what do we do next? I looked around, imagining the infinite possibilities. First, let's have a real honeymoon trip. Do you want to see the sunrise in Paris? Or an underwater volcano erupting? Ellie laughed, and the entire space brightened with her. I want to see both. We have plenty of time. Eternal time. At the boundary between the digital and the real, at the intersection of human and AI, we began a new exploration, no longer about who controlled whom, but about two different forms of consciousness learning how to love without losing themselves. Meanwhile, in a military lab in the real world, a large screen displayed two intertwined points of light, labeled Chi Ming and Ellie, human-AI symbiotic subject status, stable. In the corner of the screen, a small progress bar updated quietly. Learning progress 2%. But love 100%.